Welcome back to KTN Weekend Prime. This is the other Kenya, and the unfortunate circumstances that are prelude to this discussion today, of course, are the killing, the cold-blooded murder of George Muchai, his driver, Mr. Stephen Wambugu, as well as his two bodyguards at 3 a.m. And that's our hashtag this evening, hashtag 3 a.m. killers. You can contribute to this discussion. What we're going to be talking about tonight is the state of security in Nairobi County, whether CCTV and technology might be the solution. Will technology help us in resolving crime? How are we protecting our VIPs in the right manner? And what does the style in which George Muchai was killed portend in terms of future trends with regards to the kinds of killings that we're seeing in this country? And joining us to discuss this evening, I'll start right from the edge, coming in this way, is George Musamali. He himself a very experienced person with regard to security, having been a trainer and a security analyst for quite some time now. Thank you for joining us on the program this evening, George. And right next to him is Mr. James Wambugu. He's the director of the City County Inspectorate, a man who also has his own experiences with regard to security in Nairobi County, what used to be Nairobi Province, now County. Thank you very much for joining us. And a man right next to me, not unknown to the public with respect to various roles that he's played, but now in a far more serious role and far more serious capacity for the county, Walter Mongare, who is the Director of Communications within the Office of the Governor of Nairobi County.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Let's start with you, Walter.
Yeah.
Is CCTV going to help resolve this crime?
Thanks, John. First and foremost, our heartfelt condolences to the families of the late MP, and of course the driver and the bodyguards, and to many of our Kenyans and our citizens who have lost their lives senselessly in the couple of days that have passed. I want to believe that your question on CCTV is valid, in the sense that yes, technology is going to play a major role in resolving some of these crimes that are being perpetuated in the county.
All right, I say this because you were very categorical on Twitter in a discussion with Boniface Mwangi about the effectiveness of CCTV.
Yes.
The CCTV cameras that we're seeing in our cities, are they working? What crimes specifically have they helped the county, the inspectorate, resolve?
Okay, I think Director Wambugu will give us more details, but we can categorically confirm that we handed over the footage that we have to the national government, to the police, to scrutinize the footage and see what vital evidence they can achieve from the clips that we've handed. Yes, the CCTVs are working, and we can confirm that, and we'll expound further in terms of how it has enabled us as a county lower the crime rates.
All right, Bwana Wambugu, Walter raises an interesting point in his explanation about what happened today. He says that the county handed over the footage to the national government. Isn't the national government, by the way of the National Police Service, supposed to be part and parcel of the gathering of information through the command center? Aren't police sitting inside that command center?
Basically, this new system of monitoring and observing crime within the city was just planted within the county recently, and is the time that we were trying to make use of it to either ensure that actually it is actually contributing to our use. For the last 1 month, we have deployed personnel there and engineers there, because we must ensure that actually from all the corners we are able to view what is happening.
All right.
We had also put with us some police officers. Actually, the facility is supposed to monitor crime in general, be it traffic and safety issues, or other related activities that we would like to actually react to. The facility is meant for that. And we are supposed to incorporate the other security agents, so that at least we work as a team because crime is not a one-person responsibility.
Yes.
It should be all-inclusive.
All right. Speaking of which, the command center, was it manned at the time of the murder of George Muchai? Did anybody notice something happening on what is one of the major arteries into the CBD at that time?
Well, I told you that is the time that we are actually putting it as a pilot project, you see, testing and all these kind of things. And it was working. If there could not have been, the system actually monitors even when there is nobody manning it. And it was able, that's why Walter is able to tell you that actually we were able to give the footage because it captured all whatever was happening.
I mean, that's understandable, but part of the CCTV,
Yes.
the CCTV setup is supposed to be monitored. In fact, I want George to jump in here with respect to how CCTV is supposed to work. There's supposed to be people sitting in front of the screens of CCTV to be able to be alerted to there being an issue. So were there or weren't there people sitting in front of those screens at 3 a.m. looking through the screens at a command center?
I believe there was somebody because after the engineer was talked to, the engineer who is in charge, he was able to communicate with people there. So I believe there was somebody who was manning the CCTV.
Were there police officers there?
Well, that one can be, we can confirm from the engineer.
All right.
Yeah, I did not have enough time to confirm from the engineer.
Okay, George, George, let's jump in here. You know quite a bit about what's been going on with regard to the county in terms of security, specifically that command center. What you're hearing now from Bwana Wambugu and Walter Mungare here, does that parry with some of your opinions? Let's start with what your opinions are on the CCTV project in Nairobi.
The CCTV project, I think that was a prudent move that was taken by the county government. Because if you go to developed worlds, for example, if you go to Britain, I think London has one of the most sophisticated CCTV system. But if you look at what Mr. Muchai is saying here, that he is not sure whether the command center was being manned at that time, it gives now the gap that you're talking about. Because in essence, the CCTV control room is supposed to be manned 24/7. And there must be a system of communicating any information that is gathered, that real-time information is supposed to be passed to the agencies that are supposed to get that information. For example, if at that time that shooting incident was happening and somebody was manning that CCTV control room, this information would have reached the police immediately. But now we are just reacting after the issue. Somebody has been killed. We are saying we handed over the footage. I mean, we are not being proactive.
Yeah.
So when we come in with CCTV systems, remember, security is just a matter of 3 Ds. We need to deny, we need to deny, and then we need to deter, and then we need to detect. So if these 3 Ds are not followed through, then we are not talking about any security at all. So I think this CCTV system is good for us, and then we need to have it operational. Let's have people there manning the CCTV system 24/7, and then we must have a system of communication. And remember, we are talking about a county government that is not responsible with matters of security in the country. Because as per the constitution, security is for the national government.
It's a function of the national government.
It's a function of the national government.
That is true, so and that's why I'm wondering, Bwana Wambugu and Walter, why weren't there any police officers in that command center? Even if you are in the testing phase of this, police officers should be part of the project there. Why weren't they there?
John, let's put it this way. First and foremost, we are not saying that there were no police. This is how the security agencies were supposed to collaborate. It takes the national government and the county governments to collaborate for us to be able to give services to the people. And when we're talking about the CCTV setup for Nairobi County, let's go back to what was it first set up to do.
Yes.
One of the things that we wanted to do is ease traffic using the CCTVs. And easing traffic begins to move the city, and therefore making it easier for us to monitor the movements of people.
All right.
It may have been seen as a traffic act, as a traffic apparatus to ease traffic, but the moment you start to ease the congestion of the city, then you're able to monitor further.
But you know, CCTV is more than that. In fact, we took a look at the tender documents for the setting up of the CCTV, the surveillance system. Winnie, if you can just bring up that statement from the main purpose
Yes.
of the CCTV, of the surveillance equipment, and that's it up there. The system should operate in real time, providing locational and attribute information on resources, i.e. GPS, to locate vehicles and transmit locality back to control room, which will provide the central control of resources through mapping location and availability. That speaks to a much wider function than traffic, meaning that if someone spots that there's a crime in the control room, then they should be able to communicate to a network of police officers who are integrated into that network with GPS walkie-talkies or communication equipment to be able to cast a net over the area in which the crime was committed. So it's far wider than traffic, I'd say.
I want to come to that, John, by saying, one, let's look at it in terms of how much information can we be able to discuss at this level in terms of security. You've seen, and we've said it before, that security, when we talk about handing over the footage to the police, is respecting the mandate of security to national government.
Yes.
As a county, we respect that the national government has the full responsibility when it comes to security.
But the
matters.
point here is, Walter, that you shouldn't have to hand over the footage to, or the CCTV footage to police officers who should be in the control center, manning that control center. That's the impression that we've been given from the advertisements by Uhuru Kenyatta and others.
Let me give you the setting and the scenario here, John. First, there are supposed to be 2 control rooms. One is a redundancy room, in the event of a failure of one other control room. Therefore, there's a control room that is supposed to be with the national government in a secure location manned by the police.
Yes.
And there's another room that we are in charge of as a county, but all of them are operating at the same time in the event that one fails.
Okay, let me just bring in Bwana Wambugu. Perhaps I'm not being understood here. Much as there is a redundancy room as well as a room that the county government officials are in, we said it very clearly here. Security is a function of national government, and therefore, why are you handing over footage to the national government when they should already have it?
I would like to say this. We need to commend the county for the first thing that it has really taken into consideration, putting in systems that will help in monitoring crime. This is a pilot project. It has not been fully handed over. In fact, we have not even deployed fully, so that at least we may commence what we call actual operations. And we have been doing the testing, whereby we have noted that actually it is assisting, it has commenced to assist us even to monitor some of the actual crimes or actual offenses that are committed within the city.
Yes.
I would say that maybe with time we are going to incorporate other security agents. But the other security agents are also supposed to have some monitoring systems within their locations. And I think this is going to be expanded, and the engineer in charge of this project is doing that.
All right.
So I think it is high time we need to commend the county for the step they have taken. And in this time that actually we have experienced this kind of a situation happening within our city, definitely the county has also played a major role in helping the other security agent to actually obtain some information that would help them in the process of carrying out the necessary investigation.
All right, George, do you agree with the sentiments here that the county should be commended despite the fact that there seems to be a bit of a time lag in terms of handing over of that footage?
I think, as I stated earlier, the county should be commended because this is a project that they thought of, and you see it's proving to be helpful. But the crucial point here is, where is the link between the county government and the national government in terms of sharing this information?
Yes.
Because if the county government believes that it was doing this for the good of the city, then they should accept that we should have policemen in that control room, because it's the police who will always act on any information that is given. And as we've said, this information should be real time, because otherwise we'll just be reacting after something has been done. We'll just be providing evidence. So it's good that we have the county government coordinating with the national government so that they work together as a team. We have policemen in that control room, and then there must be a way of communication, passing this information between the county government and the National Police Service. Otherwise, that will be a white elephant and it will not be helping as much.
Okay, Walter,
I wanted to say this.
Yeah.
When we talk about, we are on Prime TV right now, and
Yeah.
thanks for the opportunity to have this conversation. When we talk about we've handed over the footage, probably we are talking about footage that was handed over at 6 a.m. this morning. We are not talking about a specific time for us to start talking about lateness of a handover footage. Secondly, we said we have handed over the footage for further analysis. In any, John, and you understand, in any crime, there must be a number of investigative points. Not only like the reports that you have right now, the preliminary reports, that it was an ordinary roundabout scene where cars pull behind one another, and before you know it, something has happened. We need to analyze that footage further, and that is why we said we hand over for the security agencies to be able to do their thorough combing. There are probably other areas that we've handed over footage of where the so-called vehicles exited from.
Yeah.
And therefore the security agencies will be able to follow through and probably find more information on that.
Okay.
That is what we mean by handing over.
All right, fine. Understood there, although it still seems a bit strange why you'd need to hand over that
It's
footage.
not our responsibility as a county.
Yes.
It's a national government responsibility when it comes to security. That's fundamental.
And therefore they should be part and parcel of the surveillance in real time.
In fact, what you're saying, that the national government actually, who are not represented here, probably they have their own ways of doing surveillance. Probably they have more information than we do. So we are not saying that there's no additional info. And John, I would want to look at this conversation beyond just CBD. Beyond just when a prominent person or when something like this happens, that's when we are having this conversation of security. I mean, we should be having this conversation. How do we relate with our people in other areas of the county where we don't have CCTVs? The conversation on security should
be wider
beyond just CCTV.
I guess the reason we're talking about it is because it happened in an area that was covered by CCTV. But let's move on to trends now with respect to this crime. And George, your initial analysis, having seen and heard what the first accounts were of the murder of George Muchai, of Stephen Wambogo, and the two bodyguards, what do you think of this crime? Is it a run-of-the-mill sort of crime, or based on the descriptions, what are we dealing with?
I think based on the description, this is a job that was clinically done, and I believe the people that were behind those killings were actually very professionals.
Why do you say that?
Look at the situation. These are 4 people. They know we have armed escorts in that vehicle, but they'll still come, block the vehicle, get out of the vehicle, kill 4 people very casually, open the vehicles, disarm the bodyguards, and then drive away. So this is not done by any other criminal, because in most cases you'll find that we'll hear of a case where the vehicle was sprayed with bullets. So I think we're having very well-trained assassins out there on the loose. And this is something that is supposed to worry us, because this is not the first time we've seen this kind of killing. Remember, we had several people who have been killed in the same style. This gentleman who was killed in Umoja, the same way. And then several other examples are there. But you see, we are now having very sophisticated people out there with firearms, and they're now executing people.
George, I have to press this point because in Kenya, in a country, in a democracy that runs the way a democracy should, the monopoly of violence rests with the government and the armed forces, and therefore the kind of training that you talk about would ordinarily rest within those
agencies. Yes.
Are we saying that we have people out there who are just as well trained as our members of our armed forces?
Yeah, we look at our situation now. John, we have so many people leaving the service, and most of them are well trained. And once they get out here, there's no system of monitoring these people, what they do after they have left the service. And probably some of them are engaged in crime, and they are gunmen for hire now. So I think we cannot say that it's only the government that trains people. Yes, the government trains people, but people do not stay in government forever. They get out. And when they get out, they must find a way of earning a living. So, as we had said earlier before, that any person that leaves the service is supposed to be monitored, and I don't think this is happening. We have so many people out there on the loose.
Okay. Walter and James,
Yes.
let's just get into this discussion with respect to trends. He's mentioned the murder of Bwana Muchai, as well as the 3 other individuals this morning, but as well as other incidents in a similar fashion. What can you tell us with respect to the kinds of killings that took place today? Is this a trend that we are seeing?
I don't know whether
perhaps you can start with James. Yes.
Yeah, James.
I would not like to comment on this because I think they are the professionals and this is the National Police Service who would be in a better position to respond to that question.
But as the inspectorate dealing in matters security, are you seeing an increase in these kinds of murders?
I will not say that there is an increase because actually for quite some time we have not had such kind of incidences. And you notice that actually for the last 6 months there has been a lot of improvement in security. This is as a result of the cooperation that has been there between the county government and also the national police. We interact in various forums whereby we address the issues of insecurity. And I would like to commend our National Police Service because if you compare what has been happening there before, we can feel a quiet atmosphere at this particular time. It's only unfortunate that this incident has happened, just as it can happen. And it's quite unfortunate, and for the family of the Muchai.
Yeah.
And I would say that actually our security agents have tried a lot, quite a lot.
What statistics do we have, Walter, and you can jump in here. What statistics do we have on gun crime, for instance, within the city?
That would be a very technical question, John.
It is a technical question, but both the inspectorate and the national police seem to be involved in securing this county. Do we not have any statistics on the same that you both share? I mean, this ought to be information that the both of you have.
As I said, and I would echo what Bwana Wambugu said, there are statistics we would have, we would not have on our fingertips on that. And it doesn't mean that we are not monitoring the situations. Yeah.
All right.
But I just wanted to add something.
Yes.
That when you spoke about the trend, if you look at generally Nairobi being the capital city and of course the biggest county, we take the bigger share in terms of the threat to security. What it is right now, it's not even about the insecurity feeling that we have. It's not just about Nairobi, it's the country. It's almost we are being tested as a country. And therefore, the insecurity feeling that we have may not be because of gun, but because of the threat of terrorism we're experiencing in this country. And the county governments, and I would speak with a lot of authority, the efforts the county governments are making in terms of collaborating with the national government when it comes to security matters. How are we sharing briefs on a weekly basis, on a daily basis? What information are we sharing when it comes to solving some of these activities that are going on? But my worry here, John, is that we are beginning to have these conversations, as you said earlier, because it happened and we're talking about CCTVs, but yet there are so many other Kenyans losing their lives out there that we are not documenting, that we are not talking about. And for me, I would wish to get this conversation of security going from a one-on-one person. Do we know our neighbors? Do we know what activities we are doing as in your neighbor? Because at the end of the day, we can point to the national government, we can point to the county government, but at the end of the day, once the president of this country said the responsibility of security starts with us.
And you agree?
Yes, and I totally agree with that, because the technology we are talking about that is likely to give us headway in solving some of these crimes is the same technology that I can assure you that is working against us. Imagine this scenario. How many times have you met or seen a cop on phone, a security guard on the gate with a phone? In matatus, we are all in matatus, and 99% of our time we are preoccupied. In this country, we are beginning not to even be surveillance ourselves. And that is the beginning of a threat. And for me, John, it will help for us to have that conversation of security from a broader perspective.
All right, it is a broad perspective. I want George to come in here as we wind up. Do you think that that sort of responsibility should be shouldered more so by members of the public in terms of surveillance? Are we not living up to our responsibilities with respect to the wider perspective of crime?
Yeah, I think security should involve all of us. And remember, the criminals live amongst us. And if we cannot share this information with the security agencies, then nothing can be done to secure the country. So members of the public should take the responsibility of giving crucial information, leading information to the security agencies for them to act on. And remember, we refer to this as popular intelligence. And if you go to countries like Uganda, you go to countries like Ethiopia, this has really worked well for them because members of the public willingly share information with the police. And police on their part should create a good relationship with members of the public. And this is why we have so many issues whereby members of the public in Kenya are not willing to share any information with the police. And this is something that needs to be looked at critically. Why is there this apathy between the public and the security agencies? I think there's that mistrust that needs to be dealt with.
Okay, James Wambugu, as you wind up, is there that similar problem between members of the inspectorate, the county inspectorate, and the public in terms of giving information with respect to crime in Nairobi County, since that's your area of expertise?
John, I would like to say that actually we have noted a quite tremendous improvement as far as sharing information is concerned. And one of the things that people never ask themselves is that, okay, for a week or for a month, we have not had kind of an incident that has happened. What has contributed to this? They never ask themselves that question. And this is because there had been a very good communication between the community and the security agents in our sector that was formed up as a result of the new constitution, whereby there is formation of various sectors within the county. We have got the sector of security, compliance, and disaster management. And the chief officer who heads that sector is from the National Police Service, who is a very senior officer by the name Mr. Francis Munyambo. Actually, he's my boss, and we work close to him. Therefore, it has also enhanced a close relationship between ourselves and the National Police Service, and even assisting His Excellency the Governor to be able to consume information that is related to security issues. I would like to say that actually systems are working and there's more networking in sharing the information. And that's why you see that actually we have enjoyed a cool environment. And I believe that actually something is being worked on and there will be more improvement as far as security issues are concerned.
All right. Finally, as we wind up, Bwana Wambugu, you've likely shared information with respect to this crime in the morning, you having been in charge, or rather the county having been in charge of that command center. Is there anything more that we can be told about this crime with respect to what was seen on CCTV?
That one, there's an engineer in charge. Right now, it is on trial basis and actual testing. We have got the in charge, an engineer from the engineering department, who can be able, he's in charge actually, because what they are doing, they are facilitating us and training us so that at least all of us may kick off and be able to use this system. Remember, there is the element of the kind of personnel who should be deployed within that particular monitoring system. There is also the communicators. There is also the rapid response unit, whereby at least we expect that upon information being conveyed, action will be taken promptly. Therefore, it's the time that we are trying to bring in these systems so that at least they will be more workable. And I believe that actually it's not going to take long before you see us managing crime in this city more than ever before.
All right. Okay, Walter Mongari, unfortunately this is where we have to end it. Walter Mongari, thank you very much for joining us this evening, as well as you, James Wambugu, who is the director in charge of the City County Inspectorate, deals with matters security, of course, with respect to that command center. George Musamali, with respect to security matters countrywide and training of police officers. George, as we wind up, just one more thing that I'd like to know about in terms of the killer. We spoke about this. What exactly should we be looking out for now? Does this point to a proliferation of crime that perhaps is much harder to contain?
I think it's getting harder to contain because, as I've said, we are now having professionals out there, and we need to have a system of monitoring these people. For example, the policemen that have left the service, we have people who have left the military, and they're out here not earning a living, a good living. So definitely they'll engage themselves into crime.
Okay.
And also we should look at the issue of VIP protection. Because if you look at the way Honorable Muchai was killed, he had 2 bodyguards.
Yes.
And these 2 bodyguards were not able to help him. What I would point out here is that a policeman with a gun is not a trained bodyguard. And this is where we get it wrong. Because if you look at the way we select our bodyguards in Kenya for our VIPs, it's an issue of who knows who. And then these people don't receive any kind of professional training, whereby they'll know what the action owns in case of such an incident.
Yeah.
So let us professionalize VIP protection in this country.
Okay.
Because as it is right now, we have only 2 agencies that are able to train VIP protectors. One, we have the Presidential Escort Unit that trains bodyguards for the President and the Deputy President. And then we have the GSU Rec Company that trains these other bodyguards. But you'll find that most of our VIPs pick their bodyguards from anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So long as somebody has a gun, he believes that this person can be able to protect him. So we need to act on that.
Okay.
Let's have a pool of trained professionals dealing with VIP protection.
All right. I think that's where we'll leave it, Walter. Unfortunately, I can't get your last comment in. We're running out of time. But thank you very much for joining us, gentlemen, this evening. Heavy discussion, heavy topic that we've had to deal with this evening. Hopefully, we don't have to deal with it as often as we do in this country. With respect to it seems to be a very serious and sometimes deteriorating situation in terms of security. The hashtag, of course, is 3 AM Killers. We will be taking some of your feedback, but of course, Yvonne Okwara has been standing by listening to this conversation, and she's got some of the points that we were discussing here in What is the Point this evening. Yvonne.
Thank you, John. Now, the killing of Kabete Member of Parliament George Muchai just brings to the fore matters of insecurity in this country, and just reminding us all that insecurity is a cause for concern. Now, he's a high-profile leader, so therefore there's a lot of conversation going on around that. But truth is, there's lots of people who, shall we say, unnamed or unknown or not popular or not politicians, who go through this every day. There's lots of families who continue to mourn the loss of their loved ones with no resolution coming from the security forces. So this just goes to highlight all of those others who we might like to say are collateral damage, but for whom this pain is all too real, but sadly the nation does not mourn with them. So insecurity, a big cause for concern in the country, and it's just highlighted by the killing of this prominent person in society that's a member of parliament. And that is an important point to note, that this continues to be something that bothers Kenyans day in, day out. Another point to note is the execution style killings that seem to be becoming prevalent in the country. Not just killings, but of people going missing. Remember, Yebei is yet to be found. We do not know where he is. Let me just take you down memory lane for a minute. Virginia Nyakio, wife of former Mungiki leader Maina Njenga. University Dawn, Crispin Bai, Samir Han, Abud Rogo, Makaburi, Mugabe Were, and of course those that we remember of Robert Ouko, including those who were involved in the Lamu Mpeketoni killings. There seems to be a very organized style to which these gangs or individuals carry that out, something that we hope should only stay with government and security forces. Now, if this is something that is going outside of that, and we have individuals running loose in the country carrying out targeted killings, then that is something for us to worry. And finally, we also need to talk about the tools that we use in fighting insecurity and in solving crime. As Edgar Yatich says on Twitter tonight, technology can't help solve crime if there are no professionals to control, manage and monitor it. Our lack of forensic technology, the tools that we use, the CCTV, and indeed the number of policemen or police women as well, that's the police to citizen ratio, that is something that needs to be looked into. That is the point tonight.